Alright, hey everyone. I wanted to elaborate on a tweet that I sent about an hour ago, which kind of blew up. I think it's one of my most popular tweets, apart from my Maxine tweet, but here it goes. So, it's on depression, and you may be asking, Jordan, what do you know about depression? Well, I'm a third year psychology student, so I'm going to be finishing my undergraduate. I'm going to have a bachelor's degree in psychology in the summer. I have been fascinated by psychology and specifically personality and individual differences for the past 5 years or so. It's where most of my focus has been on. In fact, my college my college qualification was specifically in psychology because I already knew that I wanted to go into it. So I've been doing a lot of reading around psychology in general. Depression isn't necessarily my main academic focus point, but it's a topic I'm very familiar with due to me being diagnosed with depression at the age of 15. I'm going to go into some personal background information just to give you a bit of a caveat as to why what I'm saying is actually pertinent to this topic. You can kind of throw out the, oh, if you were really depressed, you wouldn't be saying these things, or it's very easy for you to say because you haven't been depressed. Well, I was clinically diagnosed with depression at the age of 15. Previously, throughout my school years, so ever since I was around 6 or so, I've been severely bullied, physically and mentally abused in school. School wasn't a very enjoyable time for me. In fact, I often neglected going to school entirely because of me being bullied. I stuck out quite a lot. My personality was very compassionate, but I wanted to help people. I was very empathetic to people, but I got taken advantage of. They took advantage of my agreeableness, and I tried to supplicate people who didn't necessarily return it in kind. That made me be seen as a weakling, essentially. And in a school environment, especially back then, when there weren't any structures for preventing bullying and those type of things, you would find it very easy for let me just fix this. You'd find it very easy to get bullied on, picked on. So that was my life. So that was primary school. I went into secondary school. This is around the ages of 11 to 16 or so, and it just ramped up and got worse and worse and worse. It didn't help that our schools merged into one of the more rough schools in the area, and a lot of those kids didn't know me, but they kind of picked up on the kind of sense that I gave out, as it were. I was an easy target, and by that time I was already a mental mess. I would be beat up every day. I'd be crying pretty much half the day. I'd cry myself to sleep. Sometimes I wouldn't go in. My grades were falling because of it. I was just basically being tortured for most of my child life in school specifically. So I went and sought professional help. Well, my mum made me go seek professional help when I was 15, and I was clinically diagnosed with social anxiety disorder and depression. During all this time, I wasn't taken out of school at all because we couldn't really afford to be homeschooled or anything. If anything, I had to be on the waiting list for this clinical diagnosis and the therapy that was given to me a few years later. Thanks for socialised healthcare, by the way. If it wasn't socialised, then I would have been fixed much quicker. But that's another discussion for another time. But in general, I've had it rough essentially. I tried to kill myself twice. One at the age of 17 and one at the age of 19. The one at the age of 19 was specifically the worst one. I was standing. There's a very iconic. Actually, I took a picture of it. I'm not sure if you can see that picture there. It's just hanging above my desk. That's the picture of the bridge I was standing across before I was going to jump off it, and I decided not to. I was too much, and I wasn't even necessarily on the edge of it. I was just kind of like, I went out for a walk and I was just standing there, and I was looking over and thought, you know what, if I jumped in, no one would miss me or anything. But then I didn't do it. I just walked away. I went home, and for all the time I was walking, I was like, I should turn back. I'm too much of a pussy to even kill myself. That was the recurring thought throughout my mind, and that's kind of stuck with me ever since. Until I got a lot better, where I'm able to articulate myself and speak a lot more. I'm pretty autistic, I guess. Slight ADHD in my mannerisms, kind of spurgy, but in general, that's kind of just my life. Ever since I was 19, I really wanted to learn how to fix myself, so I did a lot of research into depression and the human being and the human life experience, and how to really satisfy yourself and satisfy your life and really get a meaningful life. I was trying to find meaning. I had lost all value in a sense. Not much was really causing me to get up in the morning and sort myself out. So I've done a lot of reading on this, and hopefully that can kind of give you a personal background, a bit more personal, like really personal, into exactly what I'm about to talk about, which is depression specifically in the RuneScape community, because there's been a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of high profile people. I didn't mean to do the quotes there, but you know what I mean. They weren't like super famous or anything, but just a few well-known people, as I'll say it, who have come out and said, "Hey, look, I've been depressed." And I've seen a lot of people going, "Yeah, we support you and everything," but then there are the people on the opposite side saying, "Why are you using depression as a mask for your shitty behavior?" And I kind of fall somewhere in the middle of that. On one hand, I can kind of empathize with people who want to just help these people, because it's the most compassionate and best virtuous thing to do. But on the other hand, there's a lot of merit in, hey, shut up and sort yourself out. So I kind of wanted to give both sides their due and really discuss this topic in general to the RuneScape community. So I sent this tweet out. I just read the second well-known person who came out and said, "Hey, I've been streaming for a while, I've been depressed," and I fired this tweet out. It says, you can see it on screen, if you're depressed, log off, clean your room, drink water regularly, get a gym membership and attend regularly, talk to your family, seek professional help. You're ill, seek help, not empty sympathy. So that was quite a strong tweet, and that got me a lot of likes. And there are a few responses that I got from it, which prompted me to make this video faster than I actually intended to. I intended to put a lot more effort into it, but I figured if I was getting responses like this so quickly, I figured it warranted a response. So the first response was this person, Meggy Mop 1. She says, because all this is just so easy, when you're in that depressed state of mind, I roll the emoji. So that's a fair comment. Another one, this is from RS Damas. He says, excuse me, no offense, but if this was just this easy, keep highlight on the word easy again, nobody would be depressed for that long. These two here kind of prompted me to make it, and as I was typing my notes, I got a third tweet, which I'll get to much later in the video. But notice how these two assume that I'm saying this is easy to sort depression out. I never said this was easy. I mean, if you do a Control F for easy, the only easy thing is here. This guy's tweet. I didn't say this was easy. I didn't. And I guess you can kind of assume that because, I'm just sitting on my high horse, I don't know what you're going through. No, this was really fucking hard for me not to be here right now talking to you. I'm 26, so that was 7 years ago. Those 7 years were really fucking hard, and I never said it was easy. It's not actually easy, and I'm going to get into that now. So let's actually go through the actual steps that I went through and kind of elaborate on them a lot more, because it's very easy to just read them all and be like, yeah, just do this. It's that simple, as Megan and Damas were saying. But if you actually go through the specific steps and actually what actually lends to you being you curing your depression, I really do mean cure, or have it such a low level where it just doesn't bother you anymore. You don't even think about it for, I don't know, years now. The only reason I'm thinking about it is because I study it. It's my profession, or it's going to be my profession at least. So let's go into these a bit. So first of all is log off. And log off is very important, because the first step is to admit that what you're doing right now isn't actually helping you, or isn't actually making you happier. It's kind of like keeping you at the same level, you know. People tend to use, or at least I tend to use, technology and video games and social media and social interaction as some sort of like, I thought it would help. I thought it was helping me. I thought it was sustaining me, but it's really just keeping you down. It's really keeping you at your level. It's not pushing you down. It's not making things worse, but it's definitely not making things better. And I think most people notice that it's not actually making them feel better. It's just making them stay the same. There's no movement there. It's just stagnation. You're just stuck in the same rut that you were. And that being stuck in the rut actually makes you worse. It's not the game itself. The game doesn't make you better or worse. It can elate you for a period of time. And we'll get into actually what makes you happier later. It can elate you for a period of time, but it doesn't actually push you past what your bigger problems are, because there's bigger problems than you just being addicted to a game, right? Your life is in ruins. You're ill, essentially. You have depression. And this is a very serious thing. And if RuneScape was the cure for it, then everyone would be playing RuneScape, and there'd be no depressed people playing RuneScape, essentially. If RuneScape or Twitter or all that stuff would actually help you. Now, this isn't a blanket diagnosis for what actually causes depression, because there's so many different things, right? But I can pretty much guarantee you that RuneScape may keep you at a level, but definitely won't push you up in a sense. And you may be able to dispute that, hey, I had this, RuneScape was the one conduit for me, but if you just played RuneScape and changed nothing else about your life, I doubt that. I heavily doubt that. Clean your room. So I need to clean my room. Actually, my room's a bit messy at the moment, so I'm going to do that after I finish this video. Clean your room is basically the term saying, how are you meant to change the world if you can't change your room, if you can't keep your room tidy? You need to have a very clean and ordered environment. You have too much chaos in your life. You need a lot of order in your environment to actually operate concurrently in the world. What I'm saying is, just clean it up. Just clean up. Really do take pride in your environment. Take pride in your living standard. Have personal responsibility with it. Really take care of it. And what you'll find is you'll then be in an environment where you're spending most of your time anyway because you're depressed. You may as well make it as comfy as possible. Say you've got clothes all around the room and all the tissues that you jerked off into are on the side and you haven't thrown them away yet, or your bed's not made, or you've got dirty dishes everywhere. Sort it out. You know, put your clothes back in the wardrobe, fold all your clothes, vacuum your floor, clean up everything, de-dust everything, make sure everything's sorted. You know what a clean room looks like. If you don't, then you just Google it. Essentially, that's kind of a weird phrase to do it, but that's kind of the first word that came to my mind. Basically, sort out your most immediate environment out, and see what happens. Just try it out. I'll get to why all this advice kind of makes sense in a bit. Drink water. You got to drink water. Stay hydrated. This is a biological fact essentially. You need to keep drinking water, and it's not necessarily the water itself. It's the schedule and the kind of like the scheduling of forcing yourself to drink a lot of water. It's not the water itself. It's you sticking to something essentially. If you stick to, okay, I'm going to drink 4 bottles of water a day. It's like if you don't hit that, then it's not about not drinking the water. It's about you not hitting a goal, essentially, not keeping yourself personally responsible for hitting something, which you know is important. You know it's important to drink water. Everyone tells you it's important to drink water. Why aren't you doing it? Well, you're not making it you don't value it enough. Essentially, you're not making it important to yourself. And it could be it could be anything. I picked water just randomly because it's the one I've been focusing on a lot lately. But it could be anything. Just do something regularly, essentially. Gym membership. Exercise is vastly important for curing depression. Not only does it make you feel a lot healthier, it makes you look a lot healthier as well. And how you are perceived by others directly influences how you think about yourself. You may not feel this, well, at least I didn't feel this because I never really saw anyone anyway. I just didn't come out of my room for 3 years or so during the end of secondary school and my start of college. But in general, it's vastly important for you to exercise. Not only does it get you outside the house, but it gives you something. It gives you another goal to hit, essentially. And it's not even that you need a gym membership. Log off, go for a walk, take some headphones, listen to a podcast, listen to some music, your favorite music that you always listen to when you're indoors anyway. Heck, if you've got 4G connection, you can put a Twitch stream on as you're just walking outside. You can watch it. You don't have your Rooney on the side or anything, but you're still doing something while you're just outside, getting your fresh air, getting the vitamin D from the sun, actively just moving your body, because your body's in stagnation at the moment, and you're not actually moving. Yeah, you're just not moving, so you're not. You know, I lost the words for it essentially, but I'm just gonna move on from that one. You ought to know why exercise is important for you, and we all should be doing a lot more exercise. So I just back that there. Talk to your family. Be social. Family is everything, unless they're not. I don't think you're morally obliged to stick with your family, but I know for sure that if I didn't have my family there, I would be dead by now. And it's not even necessarily your blood family. It's about anyone who can support you at all. Anyone to talk to, your friends, just anyone in your life. And if you don't have anyone, it's very easy to say, oh, just go make friends. But it really is that important, just to go have someone you can bestow a lot of trust into, you can really share your thoughts with, because it's not that you're telling them anything. It's not like you're telling them and having them give you advice. It's about you being able to articulate what your problem is, for you to be able to know the answers which come from within you. It's a very key tip in therapy. where you're not actually, as a therapist, you're not actually giving people advice. You're kind of just begging the question all the time. You're asking them questions, you're pondering, you're speculating, you're helping them be able to articulate their thoughts well enough so they can help themselves. My job as a therapist, or my job as a psychologist, is to have you not need my help, where you can self-sustain. I want you to never need to see me again, essentially. That's what my 2 therapists have said to me. Hopefully by the end of the 12 weeks, so that was the sessions I had, you wouldn't have to see me again. And that was true. You want to be in a position where you can self-sustain your emotions. That's another thing as well. Emotions are definitely in your control. There are biological factors which help shape the framework of emotions that you can operate in, but generally speaking, you can also change that framework as well through diet and exercise and regular sleep and all that stuff. And lastly, I put down seek professional counsel. It's all well and good me telling you this and you listening to this video, this ramble, but in general, if you are ill, which you are if you are depressed, and if you don't think that you're ill, then I don't think you're depressed. So let's assume that you're speaking from good faith. You say that you're depressed. You haven't gone to clinically be diagnosed or anything. You just feel sad, or you feel frustrated with your life or anything like that. If you haven't actually been clinically depressed, treat it as such. Go get some help. Seek professional help. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It doesn't matter if you have to wait for a long time. It doesn't matter if you don't want to. You're not obliged to throw away any ropes that are handed to you. You are ill and you need help. And if that's controversial to say, then I'm sorry that I want to save people's lives, because I know I definitely nearly killed myself by being depressed. And if someone is depressed, it's a super serious matter. Being alive is better than dying, essentially, because you don't know what the future is going to hold to you. I never pondered that 7 years later I'd be talking to a webcam about depression in the state of mind that I am now. My life is amazing right now. Everyone has ups and downs, but it's never the end of things. Always choose life. Never sacrifice your life, because without life is a prerequisite to all the experience, and without life you have no experience, and that's way worse than whatever you're going through right now. You gotta choose life. So those are the kind of elaboration on the tweet I sent. Let me just take a break. I'm gonna edit this at all. Just gonna talking to the webcam. So there's that. So let's put this back. So I wrote some other notes here on the side, and I'm just gonna dart over some and look at them when it suits me. So just gonna talk through these ramble. These are just things that I was rattling off in my head of things I could potentially talk about on the topic of depression in general, and how you may be able to help yourself if you do feel depressed. So there are certain amounts of questions that counselors ought to ask when seeing clients, and immediately the first question which I would like to ask if I were a counselor would be, do you have a job? And it's not about the job itself when you're asking that question. Is the main underlying question behind that is, do you have structure and order in your life? Do you have a reason to wake up? Do you have a reason to go to bed? Do you have purpose? Do you have money? Do you have income? Do you have people you interact with? Do you have just order? Do you just have order in your life? If you don't have a job, you have no reason to get up in the morning. You have no reason to go to bed. You have no reason to go outside because you don't have to do it because you don't have a job. You don't have someone you're accountable towards. It throws us your circadian rhythm. If you don't have a regular sleep schedule because and that can cause depression in itself if you're just not sleeping correctly. I've just written a few things here as well. You do not get happy attaining things itself. You get happy that the things you're working on, that your life is going the way that makes you happy, which you value. So it's all about what you value, and essentially a job gives you something to work towards. Essentially, it may not be the job that you want. It could just be flipping burgers at McDonald's, but at least you have something to wake up towards. I'm still depressed in my job at McDonald's. It's like, well, it's better than what you were doing. It's a step up in a sense. It's working towards something, your goal of being cured of depression, essentially. And I'm going to keep using this word cure because I really do think it's something you can sort out and really sustain for the rest of your life. Do you have any friends? That's another question people ask. Is there anyone to help you at all? You need people to be able to articulate your problems to, not so they can help you, not the person, just anyone who can actually just not even listen, just hear what you have to say. Because when you're trying to describe something to someone, it makes it much clearer in your head. And if it's just trapped in your head, then it's going to be torture for you. You need to be able to articulate your thoughts. Writing it down and sending it to someone is also very helpful as well. If you just write down your thoughts, send it to someone and say, and act as if they read it. You can even tell them, you don't have to read this. Don't tell me if you haven't read it. I'm just going to send this to you. And even then, it's just a good articulation of your thoughts. You don't even have to send it off. You can just write it down and have it there, so you can look back on it and say, okay, hit what is actually going on in my head right now. Because if it's just stuck in your head, then it's stuck there forever and it can't get itself out. And you want to get those thoughts out of your head. So on to the next bit. Let's talk about antidepressants. So I was on antidepressants for 2 days out of my lifelong depression quest, as it were. I never liked them, and there's good reason to not like them as well. But if you think you are seriously depressed, you are ill, therefore you have to take antidepressants. At least try them out once. And the reason why is because if you're dead, you can't be helped, and antidepressants do help some people. Fortunately they do. So if you're suffering, you're obliged to take hold onto any rope that someone throws at you. That's just another thing I wrote, just to clarify in my head. Because you're suffering. You are in no position to cast away or throw away any help that people throw at you. So if you got offended by what I wrote on the tweet, which is this here, if you got offended by this tweet, because you're depressed and you think, oh, you're in no position to say who's depressed and who isn't or whatever, you're in no position to cast aside any help that someone gives you. You do not have the luxury, as you said, you are the one in a depressed state of mind. And I'm going to get to this tweet now, actually. This one here, this one actually made me want to make this video early. And it says here, it's from Potato Rash or whatever. For all of you who have never been depressed, none of these thoughts go through your mind. Please understand what it's like to actually have depression before tweeting about it. Upside down, smiley face. You do not have the luxury, as you said, you are the depressed one in this state of mind. You do not have the luxury to throw away any help that you see. And I just wrote down here, I said, clinical diagnosis of depression at the age of 15, 2 suicide attempts, 3 years of therapy, and finishing my psychology degree. How dare you assume what I went through? Yeah, how dare you assume what I went through, Ash? Like, how can you just nonchalantly assume that just because I said all these things, and that you just assume that I haven't been depressed? I never said it was easy. You just assume it tells me more about what you think than what I think. You assume it's impossible. Of course, you never think of these things. Like, yeah, you do think of these things actually. So, anyway, I just had to ramble off. You're in a position to cast away any ropes that are thrown to you. So if you see a tweet like this, you can't just say, nah, that doesn't work. Nah, if you were depressed, you don't think of these things. There's no help for you. You just need to live depressed for the rest of your life. That's the worst type of advice you want to hear. Anyone who says, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, just be yourself, there's no need to change, fuck them. You are ill, you need to get help, and you will become a better person. I do not want you to be depressed anymore. They act as if they want you to still be depressed. And that's really fucking disgusting, in my opinion. This is a disgusting tweet. Because this assumes that I don't know what I'm talking about. And if anyone who is depressed doesn't need to listen to what I'm about to say, because they've already thought about it and they can just throw it off. You are in no position to throw away any help that's given to you. Now, I didn't necessarily give you this. You didn't necessarily ask for this. It's just a tweet in the timeline, which may also be another symptom. Just log off Twitter if you don't want unsolicited advice. If you don't want to see these type of things, which actually causes you to send off really ignorant tweets like this, then feel free to just log off Twitter. I would really appreciate it if you did, because that would actually help you. And that's one of my pieces of advice, is to log off for most things. Anyway, so I needed to just say that. So yeah, just to wrap all that section up on antidepressants. If you're offered them, take them. You can't just say, oh, they don't work, I've read them. I'm going to give you information of why they don't work. For example, since the introduction of Prozac in 1987, between then and 2004, 410 new people every day on average have been diagnosed with depression. So between that time span of 1987 to 2004, of the introduction of the most prominent antidepressant in the United States, more people are now depressed, from like 3.3 to 5.5 million. Why is that? Well, in clinical trials, for instance, placebo / the sugar pill works better than antidepressants in clinical trials. They help depression more, self-reportedly, than the actual drug itself. So this tells us a few things. It's that serotonin has nothing to do with depression. So it's like if someone says, "Oh, I've got a chemical imbalance in my brain," no, you don't. You may do. We don't know that. We can't. There's no way to measure blood serotonin in the brain. There's no way. I would love to be proved wrong on that, because I would really love to know if there's a way to correlate or causate serotonin levels in the brain with depression. So antidepressants do not kill depression at all, but they can help you, because you act as if they are helping them. That's the placebo effect. Read up on that. We don't really know what antidepressants are doing to our bodies, but early indications suggest that they may be irreversibly altering our biological makeup. So antidepressants may be causing you way more harm than just a normal placebo pill, and actually may be causing you way more harm than the depression itself. The long-term effects of antidepressants may be detrimental. We don't know this, but as I said, antidepressants do help people, and life is you put life over everything. Without life, there is nothing, and that is worse than something. So, yeah. There's gonna be the last couple of things I'm just gonna air on, just a few more quick notes, and then I'll end this long ass ramble video about depression. Diet. People know what they should be eating, but then people don't, essentially. Most processed foods are terrible for you. You know this. Water is the best thing to drink. You should be only drinking water or black coffee or tea. Milk read up on if you are lactose intolerant or not. Most people are, they just don't know it on an acute level. I cut out most dairy in my diet ages ago and I feel great. That's just me though. I did some reading, I can't really remember where I got it from, but in general most people are lactose intolerant. The milk that you buy from the store, for instance, is just shit for you, because it's just filtered and filtered and filtered. If you want anything, you want whole milk. If you want anything, you want raw milk, because it's just straight from the cow, essentially. But even then, it's very hard to digest it in your body. Same thing with wheat in general. Wheat, grains, all these type of things. Just not very good for you. I'm gonna try and put a link to the excuse me. I'm gonna try and put a link in the description about sugar and how that was kind of masked up as the main cause for heart disease and all these health problems and stuff, cause of inflammation in the body. There's been links to information linking to, sorry, that's my dinner coming up, lower states of mind, lower happiness, all these things. You know what you should be eating. I don't need to tell you what you should be eating. If you really wanted to passionately research about, actually no, I'm gonna stop there. That's a massive cop out by me saying, "Oh, you know what you should be eating." It's like, well, no, because if you go back to this tweet here, it says, "Please understand what it's like to actually have depression before tweeting about it," and it's very easy for you to say. And obviously, it's like, well, no, obviously, I need to actually keep in mind, because there was a point in my time where I was depressed, and I didn't know what to eat. But those two weren't linked per se, you know. It's not because I was depressed that I didn't know what to eat. You know what I mean? But people may conflate these things. Like depression is the one main cause for all the things that are suffering in my life, and that's a very bad notion to hold as well. Because you make an identity out of it. It's like, oh, I'm depressed, therefore everything's impossible for me. You don't want to. You want to admit that you have a problem, but you don't want to make a self-serving identity out of it. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to use depression as an excuse for all your moral wrongdoings. For instance, I know you know who I'm talking about here. If you fuck someone over, you can't say, I'm depressed. Or no, these two things aren't necessarily linked. You know, you could be two things can be true at the same time. You can be a shitty human being, and you can also still be depressed, and just because those two things are happening at the same time doesn't mean they're linked, you know. So you could be depressed. This is another topic. I'm going to go back to the other thing in a sec, but understand that it's going to be very hard for you to get past this. I never said it was easy. Never said it was easy. Just these things are difficult, and ultimately that's a good thing. And I'll tell you why. The reason why that's a good thing is because you could have to work a lot harder to get to where everyone else is, every normal person is. Whatever normal, well, I know what normal is statistically, but in general, whatever you perceive to be people who are just functioning normally. Most people already know that, like, there's no point in life at all. And they're like, yeah, fuck it. There's a difference between, yeah, like all life is meaningless, and all life is meaningless, so what? let's just make life as best as we possibly can. Because there's a difference. The difference is the full stop after meaningless. You can act as if all life is meaningless. It's just like, okay, that's it. Do nothing, no responsibility, whatever. Or you can say, all life is meaningless. So what's the best thing I can do with this, regardless of that? Regardless of this, let's just move past it. Let's move past this principle of all life is meaningless and go, okay, what's the best I can do here? But that takes responsibility. And depression sometimes is an adverse responsibility. That was it for me as I was kind of coming out of it, you know. Anyway, back to diet. So it's all well and good me saying, oh, you know what you should eat. I'm going to leave some link in the description to some nutrition advice. Hopefully that will help you understand exactly kind of what foods you should be eating. It's all based on individual. I can't necessarily tell you, the listener or the watcher, exactly what you should be eating. It's all different depending on the individual. Just understand that biology and what you eat goes into, you are what you eat essentially. Food and what you intake definitely has a significant influence on your mind states essentially. So if you know what type of foods actually help you think clearer, you can say, okay, if I eat this, then this is good. If I eat this, this is bad. For me personally, or for you personally. So you may have gone through your life just thinking, oh, I could eat whatever, it doesn't matter what food I eat, etc. No, it really does. What you consume in your body really does have a massive influence on your state of mind and your conscious experience. So, I just wrote here, outside. Go outside. Unplug for a bit. Go outside. Feel nature. Feel the immense experience of the universe. Truly understand that no one knows the meaning of life. This is all just a really completely crazy experience, and whatever you think your problems are is completely, again, there's a difference between my problems are minuscule and meaningless and my problems are minuscule and meaningless, but it's okay because look at the world outside, look at the world around me, look at the trees, look at the birds, look at the leaves, look at the grass, look at the sun, look at the clouds, look at the moon, look at the stars, look at everything. It's all well and good having the center revolve around you, but then being able to appreciate the wide experience of nature itself. Even like inhaling cold air into your lungs really makes you appreciate life essentially. Like openly taking a deep breath in and then exhaling out has helped me at least just realize, oh shit, I'm alive. You know, and if you really think about the giant weight of that, it's just like, holy shit, I'm alive. It's crazy. That type of thing. Social interaction, massively important. What you're going to need to do is, if you are socially awkward like I am, and like I was, like I wasn't able to read social cues. I could read people's emotions. I just didn't know when to stop talking. I don't really feel time pass at all. Most people just get annoyed at me when I try to talk to them because I really I just wanted to be their friend, you know. I was that kind of socially awkward kid, that nerd kid who, I don't know, liked Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon cards and Beyblades and all that other shit. And you know, I had no friends or anything. But the only way to remedy that was to keep pushing myself into social interactions and get myself acclimated to the environment of that. That's the only way to do it. You can get good at talking to people when not talking to anyone, and you actually have to talk to them face to face. The problem isn't you typing away, because that's a disconnected social interaction. This isn't real, essentially. Me talking to you even in this camera isn't real. Like, because it's not I'm just talking to my webcam. I'm looking at this webcam here, like right here, and there's no human face. It would be way different if you were in front of me right now. Yes, you watching this video, it'd be way different because I'd be able to read most of your social cues, your eyes, even your subconscious scent. There's been some crazy research on that, essentially, about how women tend to choose their mates and how much testosterone-based scent plays in their mate selection. It's just crazy environmental evolutionary biology work into that. There's all these other little cues which I unconsciously pick up on when I'm talking to people, probably more acutely because I'm quite spurgy in that sense. You miss all these things, so it's not all well and good just sitting on Discord or sitting in your Discord channel typing away, or sitting on Twitter all the time, hopelessly interacting with other people, just trying to when you know the only people you really talk to is your mum, and even then, like there were days, there were times where I just wouldn't talk to my mum for like 3 days. I wouldn't talk to anyone for 3 days. I'd be in my room socializing on World of Warcraft, talking to my guild mates, but I wasn't really talking to anyone. I would see no one, I would interact with no one, I'd just be inside. I wouldn't shower, I wouldn't clean my teeth, I wouldn't look after myself, my room would be a fucking mess, I'd be eating just complete bullshit, I just wouldn't be doing anything. And it's all well and good saying, oh yeah, but I'm playing a video game with social people, but you know that's not helping. So you gotta actually just get yourself outside, and that's like a next step after that. You need to like sort yourself out in a bit first. You know, you can't just take yourself from the super depressed state you probably are in now and be like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to 10 people today. No. Baby steps first. Have it be a positive feedback loop. Like, build on small goals, built on every day is better than just one giant leap forward. You know what I mean? Like for me personally, I'm just gonna get super personal again. There was a period of time where I just didn't clean my teeth. I just didn't at all. Like as you see here, my teeth are actually okay, which is quite weird. But I just didn't clean my teeth. So what I had to do was slowly build myself up. So okay, I'm gonna clean my teeth once every 2 days, and that would be my goal. I really would. That really would be my goal, where I would have to kind of work myself up. And now I clean my teeth twice a day, like just constantly on repeat. And I know if I stop at any time, I'm gonna revert way back to where I was. So it's just slowly building yourself up to a point. And I did that with social interaction as well. So okay, so for practice, I'm going to go into the town centre. I'm just gonna walk around for a bit. I'm just gonna walk around, get used to being outside, getting used to being surrounded by people. And then if I get too uncomfortable, I'll just go home. And that's it. That's fine. Just slow exposure therapy. Because a lot of it was, I'm scared that my compassion will be taken advantage of because of the time I was bullied. So those are like 2 examples, for instance. Last thing I'll mention as well, sleep. No, the second last thing I'll mention, sleep. You have to sleep. You have to get in a good sleep schedule. It's all well and good saying, oh, I don't need sleep. Oh, I can run on a lot of sleep. No, you can't. No, you can't. You're bullshitting yourself, and you don't know what could, like. it's really funny me saying this. It's like, please understand what it's like to actually have depression before tweeting about it. Well, I'm gonna say, please understand what it's like to actually sleep properly before you talk about you not being able to have enough sleep. Yeah, it's sleep is super important. It messes your circadian rhythm is super important to you. Make sure you get programs like Flux. Make sure you sleep in a very blackened out room. Get blackout curtains. Do not look at any monitors for like 30 minutes before you go to bed. Really relax, read a book before you go to bed, listen to some music, listen to a podcast or whatever. That's what I tend to do nowadays. Sort your sleep out. And insomnia is like a symptom of sleep, essentially. If you can't be helped with that, then you can take some magnesium, some zinc, some multivitamins help with that, melatonin, etc. Even a bit of marijuana, if you have access to it. Again, not a professional, but you know, that's helped me in the past as well, where I would eat some marijuana and that would just sort me out completely. So if it is legal where you are, then sure, those type of things. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is personal responsibility. It's very easy. Again, I'm gonna say the cliche. It's very easy for me to say this as someone who has been through depression for the past 11 years now. When I was clinically diagnosed, probably way more, throughout pretty much all of my life, been bullied or depressed, physically and mentally. Not my family. I love my family, but you know, tried to kill myself twice. I've had 2 therapy sessions, and I'm finishing up my degree. As a caveat, it's very easy for me to say this, but the practice in Stoicism is very vital to this. You are in total control of your emotions. There's a massive difference between being angry for 10 seconds and being angry for 10 years at something. And the only difference is how you perceive it. Imagine this scenario. 2 people are on an airplane and they're sitting next to each other. One person's frightened out their mind. They're just fucking scared. They're nearly pissing themselves. They nearly shot themselves or anything. They're just they can feel nauseous and vomiting and everything. Another person just sat there, just completely calm. Just doesn't matter. Now they're both on the plane. What's the difference? It's the way you relate to your environment. So the person just chilling, you know, he's ridden planes loads of times before. It's no big deal. It's all good. It's just chilling. See, hands just like that. No big deal. Everyone's just shaking. You just can't help. Oh, I'm scared of the plane. Okay? And you may look at the guy who's just chilling. It's like, oh, what does he know? Fuck that guy. He has it so much better than me. If only he knew what it was like to be scared of airplanes. And then the guy just turns to you and goes, hey man, just relax. Just chill, man. It's all good. Oh, it's easy for you to say. It's easy for you to say, Mister, I'm not scared of airplanes. Well, you don't know that guy. That guy could have been you 5 years ago. And that's me. I'm you 7 years ago. So take that to heart, and understand that you are ultimately in control, and you can get through this. I believe in you more than most people giving you empty sympathy. It's like, it's the nice and virtuous thing to tweet out to someone who says they're depressed. It's like, oh, if you need any help, just know. I want you to live. I want you to not be depressed anymore. I want you to have the best fucking life you can get yourself. But you've got to get it. So, it's going to be hard. I never said it was easy. Never said it was easy. It's going to be way harder for you than anyone else. But the reward at the end is so much bigger than anyone else who just coasted through life. It's so easy for the normal guy. So easy. But for you, you had to work so hard for it. At the end, you're way better off than anyone else who didn't have to go through exactly what you went through. Treat this as a molding experience, as it were. You can do this. And if you can't, then I don't want to think about that. You definitely can. So hopefully this kind of cleared up exactly what I was talking about in my tweet. Hopefully that kind of gives you a bit of a primer on, not a primer, but just like a ramble on depression in general. I really do want to, my DMs will be open. So if you watch this video, if you saw my tweets and you want to talk to me, then I will be that person you talk to. I will take my time to go on Discord with you, and we can talk about life. Do not just cast away the rope just because it's handed to you. I will be that person there to really give you some hard advice as to what you should do about your life. If you don't want to hear it, fine by me. Just please do not harm yourself, because depression is real shit. I may nonchalantly just be like, oh, blah, 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 it's no big deal. It's like, no, this is really big stuff here. This isn't something I say lightly, but you can get through this. You will get through this, and you will have a fucking amazing life, way better than anyone else who hasn't been through this as well. You can treat this as a blessing, as it were. I did. I certainly did. And I feel way better about it now. I can't even imagine how shittier my life would have been if I wasn't depressed. Do you know what I mean? That's crazy. Crazy to think about it. If I wasn't depressed, my life would be way shittier than it is now. So keep that in mind. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm looking forward to the dislikes. I'm looking forward to the controversial comments and whatever. But hopefully I gave you some advice. So take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.